India and Armenia have forged very close and deep defense ties which are reaching a significant level. As we are all aware, Armenia had to fight a war with Azerbaijan in 2020. And in that conflict, Azerbaijan made very skillful use of Turkish Barkatyar drones, Israeli drones, to inflict heavy casualties on the Armenians. And the Armenians had to suffer a very humiliating defeat. Traditionally, the Armenians have been buying their weapons from Russia. But Russia was trying to, ensure that this conflict does not escalate and it does not spiral out of control. In fact, they were doing their best to try and stop this war. So they were therefore not keen to supply weapons to Armenia. So India very smartly stepped into this breach. We saw the opportunity, and Armenia was a country that was friendly to us, and therefore in 2020 itself a $2 billion deal was signed, under which India would supply the Pinaka multi-barrel rocket launchers. They have 70-kilometer range, excellent weapon system, indigenous weapon system of India. Then India also agreed to supply to them the Akash S-1 missile, surface to air missiles for air defense, which can shoot down, fighter jet aircraft, drones, cruise missiles, air to surface missiles, etc. It is a medium to short range missile. The version that has been sold to Armenia is the 1S, which has a range of 18 to 30 kilometers, basically engages targets at about 20 kilometers. A quick reaction surface to air missile. It has got a weight of about 720 kgs and it has a warhead of 60 kgs, high explosive fragment warhead. The guidance, as I said, is by mid-course command guidance with the command link, and the terminal guidance is by radar homing. It's very effective, very lethal, right? And the Indian Air Force has 15 squadrons of this Akash surface-to-air missile, and the Indian Army has 2 regiments worth. So about 3,500 such missiles have so far been produced and delivered to the Indian Air Force and the Indian Army. And now about 15 squadrons worth of this will also be delivered to Armenia, so that in any future conflict with Azerbaijan, they can deal much better with the drones that they have been using and the air power that they have been using to very good effect, in fact, to devastating effect. Now, in addition to these, you see, we also have we will also be delivering to Armenia the towed medium 155 millimeter gun system, artillery system, which is one of the world's best, and that is the ATAGS, which was designed by the DRDO and is being produced by a private sector, by Kalyani Forge and Tata, right? So, very, very effective artillery system, one of the world's best. It outranges the American system of equivalent caliber, which has a range of about 40 kilometers. This has a range of almost 45 kilometers maximum range. They can fire 3 rounds a minute. This can fire 5 rounds a minute. So this is the next in the pipeline, and we also have anti-tank guided missiles in the pipeline. Also anti-drone systems, to jam the communications of the incoming drones, and with electronic warfare defeat these drones, because they have proved lethal against Armenia. So, previously Philippines had brought the Indian BrahMos. That was the first significant deal that the Indian DRDO and our public sector defense companies had struck. A very significant deal to supply BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles to Philippines. Vietnam also wants it, some other countries, Malaysia also wants it, some other countries in Southeast Asia that are threatened by China are also keen to have it. So far it's gone to Philippines. This is the second big breakthrough in terms of defense sales, and it shows India's self-sufficiency, that we have now a self-sufficient armament producing system which can export. The export this year have crossed 21,000 crores. This is a 36% jump over the last year's sale of weapons and equipment, and this will only bound to increase, and this will help us to bring in economies of scale, because the more you produce, the lesser the individual costs become, even for Indian armed forces. So this is a very significant breakthrough, and I'm sure this will continue in the days ahead to forge ahead. A very significant deal. This is worth about $720 million, the Akash deal alone. There is the deal of the Pinaka. So I said overall about $2 billion is what we will be earning from Armenia. Jai Hind. Thank you.
India and Armenia have had a very good relationship in the past couple of years. I know of companies Armenian companies working in India. Indian companies have established themselves in Armenia. Indian farmers are farming in Armenia. So we've had a great relationship post the split up of USSR into Armenia. Similarly, we have good relationship with Azerbaijan as well. But as you all are aware, Azerbaijan and Armenia are at conflict with each other for simple reason that there is a little bit of Azerbaijan in Armenia and vice versa. But when you come to air defense, defense is everybody's right, and providing weapons to defend themselves is, in my opinion, a noble thing to do. And Akash missile, I know for a fact because I have inspected them. I have seen it in operation. It is one of the wonderful missiles that there is. India has produced as well as in the world region. So Akash doesn't miss. If Akash locks on, it takes out its target more than 90% of the time. Very few air defense missile can boast of that kind of capability, and definitely Armenia will improve its air defense with induction of Akash missile. It will also bolster our standing in the world as far as defense production capability possessing world is concerned, as well as it will be a litmus test for our equipment to work in a different set of environmental condition and different set of operating conditions. So all put together, both Akash, which is the second export, and the BrahMos was the first export, both these weapon systems is going to propel us in the future as one of the defense production nation. Maybe the next on the cards will be Tejas, which will get exported to some other countries. Coming to the technological capability of Akash, Akash has two major systems. One is the Rajendra radar, which is a phased array radar. Phased array radar, in a nutshell, is multiple small radars in one plate. And advantage of phased array radar is while some TR elements, the trans-receiver elements, can track, while the other TR elements can lock on to a target. So that is how it is able to prosecute 12 targets at once and 64 targets in total. And from the command center, where the Rajendra radar is housed, you can have the decision-making point on a data link anywhere in the loop that is in your data link loop. That can be, for example, if you're defending Delhi, you can take the decision sitting as Tirunelveli, not an issue because it is on a data link loop. Similarly, the missile systems as well. It can be tracked, it can be wheeled, depending on the terrain that it is going to be used, and it is command guided in the sense the phased radar, the Rajendra radar is the mother which talks to the missile and guides the missile. But the missile explodes on proximity fuse, which has a pre-fragmented warhead, which means when the missile comes closer to the target, the proximity fuse gets activated and the missile explodes and the aeroplane falls apart. It has proven itself in many live firing, which I have witnessed, and in many other exercises, it has proved itself really worth every penny. As far as exporting it to Armenia and our capability internationally is concerned, there is no weapon which in that class, in the 45-kilometer class, which is as good as Akash today. Most of the 45-kilometer class weapon that is there in the market today are slightly of the older generation, both in terms of the radar, the data link, the anti-jam facility, the missile's flight path. Everything is modern in Akash. No other missile compares to it in the market today, where it is available for export. So Armenia's air defense is going to get a greater fillip, no doubt about that. Talking about the economic aspect of military exports, in terms of exports in absolute value, military exports is nothing. I mean, next to nothing as of now. But in terms of total volume of exports, but in the military exports per se, we have really picked up in last 10 years, and will continue to do so in the years to come. Uh, Hopefully, Akash will, because of the fight that is going on between Azerbaijan and Armenia, as well as other regions also getting involved, maybe the Akash will taste blood in times to come the moment it gets deployed. We'll see, and that will give a kind of a fillip to Akash in other areas where we can give it to our friendly foreign nations for their defense. And defense is everybody's birthright.